Hello everyone, how are you? Breaking news today. Agreeing a deal to end the war in Ukraine will involve difficult diplomatic conversations with allies, a UK defence minister has said. Armed Forces Minister Luke Pollard said options were on the table but insisted nothing had been agreed after a summit of Western leaders in London. At the weekend, Sir Keir Starmer said the UK and France will work on a plan to stop the fighting, which would then be discussed with the United States. Separately, France's President Emmanuel Macron floated the idea of a month-long truce between Russia and Ukraine. But Pollard told the BBC that was not a plan we currently recognize and warned a temporary pause in the fighting could give Russia time to regroup. He told the BBC that any peace deal had to be backed up by U.S. security guarantees to deter Russia from attacking Ukraine again. On Monday, Sir Keir said the government was in intense discussions with the French. The plan is being worked on and intensified at the moment. The details will obviously put out when the time comes, he told BBC local radio. He added that there was a sense of momentum to the negotiations. U.S. President Donald Trump has not agreed to provide any security guarantees and has instead focused on a deal to open up Ukrainian minerals to American companies. Russia has flatly rejected the idea of Western troops being sent to Ukraine as part of any peace deal. President Macron had suggested a partial, month-long truce between Russia and Ukraine, in which both would agree to a truce for 4 weeks in the air, on the sea and around energy infrastructure, but it would not cover ground fighting along the front line in the east. Eleanor Carroit, a member of the French Foreign Affairs Committee, told BBC Radio 4's Today programme that President Macron's proposal sent a very strong message to Europe that if we want, we can do something. This shows that we're capable of making proposals and that these proposals can lead somewhere, Carroit said. But Pollard told the BBC it was not a plan that we currently recognize. He added, certainly there are a number of different options being discussed privately between the UK, France and our allies. What we are certainly doing is looking at what plan would bring peace as soon as we can, and what plan creates a lasting peace. Sunday's summit in London came after an explosive spat between Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House last week. Pollard insisted the US remained the UK's closest ally, despite the differences in the approaches of Europe and the US to any Ukraine peace deal. We have a strong special relationship, an enduring friendship with them. That won't change, Pollard said. But what we should be doing, as indeed the Prime Minister is continuing to have those difficult diplomatic conversations that seeks to bring all our European and American friends to the table to create a plan for a lasting peace in Ukraine. That does involve some really difficult and tough conversations. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer hosted the London summit as allies scrambled to shape peace negotiations and smooth over fractured relations between Trump and Zelensky. On Monday afternoon, the Prime Minister will update MPs on his meeting with the U.S. President in Washington last week and his conversations with European allies on Sunday. At the summit, Sir Keir announced a 4-point plan to work with Ukraine to end the war and defend the country from Russia. The plan involves including Ukraine in talks, continuing to supply it with military aid, boosting its defense capabilities and building a coalition of the willing to defend a deal to end the fighting. The UK and France are taking a leading role and have both committed to send soldiers to Ukraine under the proposals. But apart from increasing spending on defense, there appears to be no consensus on a plan to end the war among European leaders. Defense Secretary John Healey is expected to visit the US later this week to move discussions forward. In other developments over the weekend,